Welcome back to the Legends Summit. I am so excited for this next guest because I know that you are about to hear a real time journey, story, truth as to what she's been navigating behind the scenes very recently. But I don't want to give too much away. So instead, I'm just going to introduce Lauren Penny. Now, Lauren is a monetization and event expert. She's the CEO and founder of Branched Out. She brings 22 years of worldly experience having planned and executed mega events around the world. She works with seven-figure and multi-six-figure women entrepreneurs to host their epic events who have been relying on inexperienced virtual teams to host their world-class events with ease. She has empowered hundreds of trailblazer entrepreneurs to monetize their events and strategically align their event to crush six and multiple six-figure events whilst expanding the branched out ripple of impact. She uses her monetization, event planning, and production strategies. She provides trainings, programs, consults, or does done for you services for her clients to use events as part of their growth strategy. She loves supporting her fellow women entrepreneurs who have branched out on their own, creating their path of impact. Lauren is an international speaker and is advocating for event businesses in the lead up to the Olympic Games of 2032. When she's not running her companies or working with clients, you will find her playing with her two daughters and planning their next holiday or experience. She's a traveler, having lived and traveled to over 50 countries, and is passionate about helping educate girls in Sri Lanka. I love that. Lauren has big plans for Branched Out to bring events possible to entrepreneurs across the globe. And this is just the beginning. Lauren, please take away the floor.
Thank you so much, Claire, and thank you so much for you for being here, the Raw and Leaders. So I am here today, and what an extraordinary introduction. Claire, thank you so much. And I honestly can't believe that I am here right now. I am the chair and founder of the Major Events Business Group, and I lead event businesses on how we can navigate the tendering process, the business readiness, all for supporting tenders and contracts into the Olympic Games for 2032. So this is a completely new initiative, and we're working with the government, we're working with Brisbane 2032 Organising Committee, with the Chamber of Commerce and a number of different industries as well as internationally to really set up businesses for success as they lead in for the next 8 years towards the Olympic Games and then beyond, and that legacy that those event businesses have within their workforce. Now, as I sit here today and sharing this all with you, yes, I do work with women entrepreneurs across the globe, and I absolutely love what I do. I love the branched out impact so that you can create wealth, you can create extraordinary events, and you can do this with ease. Whether it's six figures, multiple six figures, creating your audience base and really, really connecting with your beautiful humans in person at your event. I'm the proud mother of two girls, and so I'm so honored that I also get to have that balance. You know, I do have the balance between business and being a mother. And so my goal 15 years ago was to create wealth for myself so that I didn't have to work during the time that my children are before the school years. Okay, so when I knew that when I was going to have children, I wanted to have that money aside so that I can support myself. And if I choose to work, of which I do now choose to work, I can really balance this and have nannies and be home with my children so that if they do something throughout the day, I can be there present with them before those school years. And so I get to have all of the holidays, and I really am honored and grateful for the life that I've now created. Now, with all this being said, working and having consultancies with the government, working in the tendering and the business readiness, all to spearhead businesses to back themselves towards the Olympic Games. Over the last 3 months, I have not been on socials, nothing. I have just removed myself from everything social media. And I know that you might be like, wow, my goodness. Or you might be going through this in this moment right now. I felt personally towards the end of last year, I felt the constraint. I felt caged in. I felt that I had to be present and show up online in a certain way, but I really wasn't feeling it and being my true self, my true authentic self. And I wasn't showing up in that capacity. And what I then discovered and what I've just now reflected on as I've stood back and really been able to evaluate what I am creating and who I am being and the way that I want to lead into the future. I've reflected on this because the best part of the last 2 years, I have been creating something else outside of the socials that people don't see. And that's all of the business meetings and the consultancy advice and the liaisons that we have built with the major events, with the government and with the Olympic Games. So I've been running focus groups. I've been putting together an industry report, which has been fundamental to be put forward to ministers to be able to present what they are trying to achieve in order to support the capability and the capacity and the knowledge for event businesses in the lead up to the Olympic Games as well as during, and to be able to support them through this economical change, to be able to provide them with the infrastructure and the knowledge and the finances to be able to put in tenders. We know that a lot of event businesses are very thin at the top, very thin in the leadership roles. So how can we then support and put in and advocate for change so that businesses are capable and have the capacity to be able to fulfill the tenders between now and 2032? And so what's been happening is, whilst this has all been happening behind the scenes, and I've been having time with my family and I have my nanny at my house. And so I'm able to do my work, and I work with women entrepreneurs creating their 6-figure events, $30,000 worth of sponsorships. We love what we do. We're like, let's have a confetti party when there's a sponsor says yes. So this has all been thrilling. But what I've noticed is that over that time, slowly, I just put this industry report down. And I just wasn't doing the action. I wasn't doing what I said to myself I was going to do. And of course, when you don't do the action that you promised yourself, what's that going to do? It's going to just start deteriorating some of the mindset and just some of the what am I here delivering? And so when I finally created the report, I got to the point, would you believe, that I was about to come into the holidays, and I knew that days and months had passed and I still hadn't completed this industry report that I designed. I've ran those focus groups. I've collated the information. I've put together the challenges that we can present to the ministers and the government so that we are enabling event businesses to be able to strive forward and grow and really have a lasting legacy of their business above and beyond the Olympic Games. And so what I realized is, because I wasn't doing that action, and all of a sudden the school holidays were coming up, and I really wanted to have that 2 weeks away from the business. But I knew in the back of my mind that I hadn't finished the report. So I made sure that I sat in my office. I had my nanny for 3 days, and I made sure that I didn't do any other action. I didn't do any women coaching entrepreneurial work. I didn't show up on Facebook, didn't write emails. I didn't do a nurture campaign. I didn't do all the things. I made sure that I just sat down and focused on this report. I ensured that I didn't do anything else until it was done. And do you know how liberated I felt when finally I pressed send and I sent that industry report to the government? And then the feedback that I received in terms of how insightful this is, in terms of the practicality and the real future-focused actions that we are presenting. The feedback that I received from the members of the group that I've created, in how this is going to change the platform in the voice, and the voice to be able to communicate to the government in terms of how we can practically put these grand visions into practical play. And so I felt liberated. I felt elevated. And then it came to a point, and like even when I'm talking about this now, it came to a point that I really actually felt quite embarrassed that I didn't do this action. I felt embarrassed when I was speaking to the government going, oh, the industry report's coming. You know, I honestly felt disappointed in myself, to be honest. And I know that, you know, as women entrepreneurs, we want to strive forward, but sometimes we're just, as we're evolving, as we're looking at a new project, as we're looking at the next initiative that we're driving, sometimes there are those bumpy paths along the way. And so I came to a moment last year that I continued showing up on socials, presenting the business of Branched Out, of which I do love, but I knew that there was also a part of me that wasn't showing up. I wasn't honoring this new part that was growing and forming and really evolving. It was like then I was two identities, one identity on Facebook and one identity on LinkedIn. Like, how crazy is that? And so what I then found myself in a position that I went out for dinner with my partner for my birthday, and we took this beautiful picture, and I was going to post it up on social media, but then I really got confused as to what I was going to say. What was it going to be, a personal message? Was it going to be related to the business? Like, I didn't know what I was going to say. And from that moment on, I just didn't show up on Facebook. I was tired. I was confused. I didn't know how to show up now. I didn't know. I felt that constraint that I really need to be saying this, or I really need to be saying that. And so from that point on, I didn't show up anymore. Even though the last 3 months have been extraordinary. We've had family holidays. We've been on train trips with the girls. We've had plane trips. We've had Christmas. My little 1.5-year-old at Christmas Day. Like, how gorgeous is that? There wasn't one photo. I've just recently flown business class to Sydney and had an extraordinary weekend with my girlfriends. Not on socials. I've had a meeting with the Olympic Games. Not on socials. We're having conversations right now with industry groups across the globe. Not on socials. And so what I've discovered is that I just really needed this time to, even though I wasn't front facing on social media, I was still doing all of this work and evolving behind the scenes. But what I've now come out and I've recognized is that enough is enough. I know that I am truly stepping out as my super self of who I truly am. And if that may not resonate with some people, well, that may not. But for those that it does resonate with, it will. I'm now not going to show up as just the mega events consultancy or the women entrepreneurs creating epic events that they absolutely love and cannot wait to hug and connect with their humans inside of the room, or just only connecting personally as a mother, as a partner, and sharing my life and my personal life. So rather than compartmentalizing those, I'm now going to show up and start showing up as my true self. And now I have to admit, I'm in it right now. If you go to my Facebook at the moment, there may not be any posts, depending on this time that you're looking at this recording, at this session. You may see a few posts, but I now know that I can now show up for myself and my super self. So I know that all of this wouldn't now happened, and this new knowledge wouldn't have come forward if I hadn't then been brave just to take a pause. You know, I know that all of this wouldn't have happened if I just hadn't been courageous, just to give myself that time. And so as I'm sharing this right now, I don't have all the answers. I don't know in December 2025 how this is all going to play out. There's currently meetings that we are currently in. I have a big conference call at the end of this month. So I don't know how this is going to play out. But do you know what? I'm going to be showing up. So whether I am showing them then up socially or going to be showing up in the business, and then I'll be showcasing this into the future, I'm showing up and being my true self. And so I ask you, have you given yourself to take a pause? Have you given yourself just a time to reflect, a time just to honor yourself? Have you given yourself some time to evolve and climb that new mountain and go through this new journey of self-discovery without the constraints and feeling the cage and thinking that, well, no, I'm just not going to do this. I'm just now not going to do this major event consultancy work because I'm doing this. No, I'm one and I'm whole, and now I can step forward and be all of this. And I truly do believe that everything does happen for a reason, and that I'm honored now that I can, it's like I'm unlayering, peeling things back, that I'm able to take a pause, and I'm able to now, because I've paused and given myself space, I feel like now I can allow and I can receive and I can truly step forward as my true self. And so right now, even in this session, I'll be honest, I felt like delaying the call because I didn't feel ready. I felt that fear. I felt that procrastination. I felt that I'm doing other work like that industry report, and I was just going to put it down. I was going to do something when I had more time and more practice and more energy. But I've now realized that no, right now is the time. Right now is the present moment. So as I am going through this, I can share this, that I love working with women entrepreneurs in their events, in their epic events. And I love creating the mega consultancy piece that is evolving and is developing, and those meetings with the Olympics and how this is then going to be unfolding. And so right now, when I recognize, and my practice that I do right now is that when I recognize if there's fear or procrastination that's starting to creep in on some of the actions, even if it's just a minute action like setting a meeting or sending an email. When I feel that fear or that procrastination starting to creep in, I'm making sure that at the start of every day, I take a walk in my own energy. I'm not listening to podcasts. I'm not listening to trainings. I am just going for a walk on my own in nature. My partner is looking after the children, and I am giving myself that 1 hour to 1.5 hours in the morning, every single morning. I meditate. I go to the beach. I'm in the forest. I'm doing mindset activities so that I can put safety in my body. I can feel this evolving happening. I can allow this new being, this new becoming to come forward. And the more that I'm able to do this, I know that then I step into those actions, and I can really step into those actions with confidence, and it is now coming out just with ease. And so I'm honored to now be here in this present moment. And yeah, when I feel that fear, I can now acknowledge it. I'm not looking at procrastinating like that industry report, even though I was so excited about doing it, but I just kept putting it down. I know that I can acknowledge it and breathe into it, meditate, put safety in my body, and really step forward. I'm willing to evolve. And that's why overall, I truly am so passionate to support people from across the world in truly owning who they are and the life that they're creating, and really choosing you. Thank you.
Lauren, oh my goodness, I had goosebumps through that talk, and I'm sure you guys watching did too, because how rare is it for us to feel that kind of realness from someone giving a talk and really allowing us to see you and to feel you? And I don't know about you guys watching, but to see myself in you and everything that you're sharing, and to just really feel like, wow, okay, like you've got all this success, all of these major accolades and accomplishments that you're achieving, and they're so amazing, but yet you still have the same struggles and the same navigations as I do, as you guys do. And this, for me, is what Real and Raw Leadership is all about, sharing that piece. So, Lauren, thank you so much. And I would love to ask you, how did that feel? Because I know we spoke about this briefly before we pressed record. And this is something so outside the box, right? It's so unusual for speakers to share in this way. And how did you find that? And how are you feeling after now doing that?
Thank you, Claire. I feel quite extraordinary in that I'm allowing others to see you in a real life situation. That, yes, I do have an amazing background. And sometimes that this is then like, oh, wow, she's done this and she's doing that and da-da-da-da-da. But actually now I am climbing a new mountain, like all of us, like you are. Everyone is. And it's now just having that confidence and also that reassurance that sometimes some fear or procrastination or whatever our, a limiting belief starts to creep in. It's about recognizing that and then putting in those self-leadership. I could turn away and go, do you know what? This is too hard. It's feeling uncomfortable. I'm not going to step into that space. But I choose to feel the uncomfortableness, put in mindset strategies, meditate, breath work, and really, work with my mind so that I can then feel confident and walk into a meeting with the Olympic Games. So then I can then be confident and talk to the chairman of a global industry group so that, I can show up and be present with my girls. And, and it's also demonstrating to them that who we are, yesterday and who we are today is not necessarily who we are tomorrow. But I also recognize that right now, like in sharing this right now, that's why I didn't want to delay this call. I'm in it right now. I don't know all the answers, and I can honestly say that. And it's actually quite hard for me to say that because I'm a strategist. I'm sort of, I need to know the answers. I should know all the answers. But actually, this is something that's evolving as we speak. And so it's now just recognizing that these new ideas are coming forward, and this is part of that evolving and that entrepreneurship and that just being you and being just perfectly fine with that, and knowing that you might make a mistake, you might not, it might turn out fabulous, it might not, but just sharing this moment does actually feel really enlightening, really. And to be able to connect and know that every mountain, whether it's small, medium, large, big, whatever it is, it's going to be a constant, and we're just building those muscles. We're always building those muscles so that we can then just climb that next mountain.
I love it so much. It's so empowering. Honestly, even me sat here watching, and for you guys sat here watching, I'm sure you can feel it. Just this whole, oh my God, it must all be possible, because just look at what you've achieved, and yet you're so real. You're so normal, right? Like, you're no different to all of us. And this is what it's all about. Lauren, and I know we've been in each other's worlds for a little while now, but what does being part of the Real and the Raw Leaders movement really mean to you, like professionally, personally? And I know we've spoken about this behind the scenes, but I would love for you to share with the audience kind of what it really means to you as a leader and someone who is very well accomplished in your own sector and your own businesses. What does this movement kind of stand for you?
I think this movement stands for me is that we can share that as we are going down a new path or we're rolling out a new project, we can be honest that we could be nervous, that we might feel like we don't have it all together, but we're going to do it anyway. And I think that's just reassuring for others to think that, you may have had a project and you may not have had it all together, but and it worked out extraordinary. So I think it's just really being able to share that it's not the polished version, and that you are also going to create something that's just evolving as well. And there's going to be emotions that may come up. And it's feeling that, like you've mentioned, like it's that human. Like, we're human. We're not robots. We're human. We're going to feel the feels. And so it's about honoring how we then self-lead that through. Like for me, now working through mindset, meditating, breath work, mindset activities, and really working this through this very consciously and then subconsciously. And then being able to step through that evolution and know that there is change. And I think that's where the real and raw leadership comes through, because, when we can gather together and, confidently say to each other, do you know what? I made a mistake. Or, hey, guess what? Like that's the realness. Like, that's the realness. And not everything works perfectly. And it's being just perfectly okay with that.
Oh, yes, I love that. Not everything works perfectly, and it's being perfectly okay with that. That is a beautiful phrase. And I hope you guys take that away, because like Lauren said, we're all navigating, we're all growing. There's always another mountain. And when you share that mountain, that hike, that's when people connect with you, just like you've connected with Lauren here. Lauren, I want to ask you one thing, because obviously you were speaking about the Olympics, and I mean, as soon as you mentioned that, my ears popped up. I was just like, wow, like that's a crazy thing. That's a crazy thing that, most of us can only dream of. And I would love for you to share a little bit more about that journey. How did that happen, firstly? Like, how did you get the courage to make that happen? And where is that leading? I would love for you to elaborate a little.
Yes, certainly. So in terms of the Olympics now, in the mega event space, I've been in the mega event space for most of my career. So I've been working in the Commonwealth Games, the London Olympics 2012, FIFA World Cup, Australian tennis. So a large number of events, and I'm known in this industry for this. And throughout my journey, what I then discovered was that there are women entrepreneurs across the globe, and I knew that then I can transition and really utilize those skills in the mega event space and transfer this and support women entrepreneurs to create more money through their events, whether it's ticketing, sponsorships, or effective production strategies. And so the two have kind of then, evolved through, together. And then more than recently, when the Olympics are going to be in Australia in 2032. And so because I've known that there are a lot of event businesses, and just the manpower, the marketing skill sets, the infrastructure that many of the event businesses have, and also being very connected with the government, because I've worked with government before, I've been able to just bring those parallels together and be able to look at, well, how can we actually support each other? How can this major event business group that we've founded, how can we actually support the government to achieve those objectives? Because otherwise they're going to be massive objectives, but in reality, it just may not work. So how can we really link that together? And that's how it's evolved. So I've had meetings, I've had coffee chats, I've put myself out there and had these meetings. And that's where, like, I've come home and I've just been elated. I remember calling my mum or talking to my partner during the day. Like, the meetings are extraordinary, and it's just all natural. It's all just coming out. The ideas are flowing. And so that's why, that's why I was in when I was sharing, like, I felt ashamed and disappointed that I didn't do those industry reports, because I was just putting this down and I was then focusing on other parts, which I thought that I needed to be doing, or that I needed to show up and I needed to do those actions. And of course I want to deliver to my clients, but then I was just putting this other part down and I wasn't stepping into that. And that's when I, to be honest, was becoming frustrated.
Yeah.
And so with this report and how it's all unfolded, it really is a really insightful industry report that's been written. And this is now opening up new doors and new conversations, and the innovative way of how we can work together is really, it is taking place. And that's why it's like, watch this space, join me on Facebook, watch this story unfold, because I don't know how it is going to unfold, but it's really being inspired that as business owners, we can then put the right foot forward. And I want people to succeed. I want you to succeed. I want us to step through those barriers. You can have the business, you can have the family, you can have wealth. You don't need to not have one of them. You can have them all. I walk my children to school every morning, pick them up after school. So we can do all these things, and it's just now being confident in our evolution, evolving, taking a pause when we need to. I've paused other times in my, my career, and just looked at that fork in the road. Where do we want to go? Make that hard decision. And now in my older years, as I've now more developed, it's now looking at that mindset and knowing, okay, is there a limiting block here? How can I now overcome this? What sort of mindset activities can I do to really step into this? And then now step into those meetings and step into having conversations with the Olympics, and really be able to work with the government on really advocating for businesses to grow. And because at the end of the day, that's all about the economy. So it's how it all, there's all this sort of cycle. And as you can see, there's a lot of synergy between, yes, major events, and yes, women coaches. It's the evolution, it's the business, it's creating wealth, it's creating jobs, it's creating impact, that we're creating change. I want event businesses to succeed as much as I want women entrepreneurs to succeed. I want everyone to succeed. And it's now just merging and navigating through this, as well as I want to be with my family. So it's all part of it.
I love it, Lauren. Goosebumps. And you guys watching, I know you're feeling this too. So, Lauren, please don't keep us hanging any longer. How can everyone come and get into your world? Where's the best place for everyone to find you?
Yes, well, I would love to connect with you on Facebook. So please, Lauren Penny on Facebook, come and be part of this journey. Let's support each other. I'd love to be able to support you, and you can see how this unfolds. I also have a Facebook group of which you can also join if specifically you're looking at some tips and strategies around events. And if you are thinking about an event, I have a beautiful little gift for you, which is a 6-figure event guide. And so you can also connect with this 6-figure event guide as well.
Amazing. And all of those links will be right below, so you can go and get into Lauren's world right now. Do not hang around, because that sounds just incredible. I, for one, am definitely going to be heading over there as well, especially as we approach Real and Raw Live. So this sounds amazing. Lauren, thank you so much for sharing such a beautiful, powerful, vulnerable, share, story, talk with us today. It really is just really, really empowering. And that's what we want from a talk. We want to feel like everything is possible and that nothing is impossible. So you guys watching, remember, go and get into Lauren's world right now, and you can head right over to your next on-demand talk in the Legends Summit. I will see you all there, and bye for now.